An evacuation order for all of Yellowknife this Thursday night.
This is a crisis.
More than 20,000 people urged to leave.
It's almost like run for your life, and it's scary.
The deadline to get out and what the mayor is worried about. BC's dire warning about wildfires, the anxiety about the next 2 days. Faith in Maui's future, the message to tourists as the island looks to rebuild. Plus, how heat and humidity affect your heart and brain.
It's going to be just a sweat fest, basically.
Our Jeff Semple wires up and gets put to the test.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Farah Nasser.
Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. With their lives packed in their suitcases, the entire city of Yellowknife, more than 20,000 people, has 24 hours to evacuate their home by air or road. And that's not all. In BC, Canada's worst wildfire season is about to get even worse. Officials and fire crews are warning the next 24 to 48 hours could be the most challenging yet. So tonight, we have team coverage for you on the firefight. Jayme Doll is in Yellowknife for the mass exodus. Our Heather Yourex-West is at the Calgary airport, where many are expected to land. And meteorologist Kristi Gordon is in BC, and she's monitoring the incoming weather system and lightning storm that's expected to lead to a significant number of new fires. Jayme, let's start with you, because the clock is ticking up north. So first, what's the latest on the fire?
Well, Farah, Yellowknife is indeed a city in crisis tonight. And while there is some rain, the fire is now 15 kilometers outside the city limits. Clearer skies did help air tankers that were battling the fire from the air, dousing the flames with the water from the Great Slave Lake. But right now, all paths lead south, hopefully to safety.
Dense smoke haunts the northern sky. A city on edge and under evacuation scrambles beneath it. With children in their arms, bags stuffed full at their feet, hundreds shuffle in a line hoping to be booked on the next charter flight out of the Northwest Territory capital.
Scary, especially for my kids.
It's hard to leave. It's just so shocking that we have to leave.
This last minute thing, kind of. They should have started this like a week ago.
Moving 20,000 people in less than 48 hours is a tall order emotionally and logistically. But the territory and city are determined to see it through as a stubborn blaze weaves and bends on the fringes of Yellowknife. The wind narrowing, the fight pushing on.
There is the potential for this fire to reach the outskirts of Yellowknife by the weekend. That possibility still remains. It's a very serious situation, and our teams on the ground is doing absolutely everything we can.
Yellow buses wait for evacuees as drivers fill up their tanks and prepare for the long and uncertain road south. The airport is packed full with both anxious residents and turned around tourists.
We got here yesterday and we're leaving today.
We've been, I guess, on edge for the last probably 36 hours waiting, trying to figure out what's going on.
I'm hopeful that, the decisions that are being made now will be so that it's not the fire notifying people, but that it's actually done in more of an organized manner.
Businesses are shut down, some even boarded up to ward off lingering looters.
A lot of people are planning on staying with a sort of last-minute option of pushing off into the lake with a boat.
Many northerners say they are not ones to get knocked down easily, and despite everything, insist their spirits will outburn any fire.
For 42 years I've lived in Yellowknife. This is the first this has ever happened to me. It scares the pants off me. But I'm alive, so I'm going to take it with a smile and enjoy the ride.
And for so many, that ride will hopefully be in a seat on an airplane to Calgary. And from there, so many have no idea where they'll go next, or when, or what they'll be returning home to. Farah?
Jayme Doll in Yellowknife. Thank you, Jayme. And Calgary is where we head next. Our Heather Yourex-West is at the airport where many evacuees are heading. Heather, do we know how many flights are arriving there?
Farah, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau held a meeting of the incident response team today, and Global News has learned the military plans to deploy 5 aircraft to help with the evacuation effort. That's on top of the 11 commercial and charter flights scheduled to arrive in Calgary from Yellowknife today.
Small car, or different kind of vehicle.
Sending updates from the road, the Wynn family is on their way to Alberta. Dad and the kids on the highway, and grandparents lining up for an evacuation flight.
But I think the plan is to divide the family a bit, to send my grandparents out as soon as possible before they change their mind. And my uncle is just going to try and drive out right afterwards.
Just past the border into Alberta, a welcome sight for evacuees. Free water and fuel. By the time drivers hit Steen River, they're only about a third of the way. Thousands of people are now fleeing their homes from both the North and South Slave regions, including Yellowknife, Fort Smith, and Hay River. The vast majority of evacuees are heading to Alberta, but some communities are already full. South Slave residents have been sent by air to Fort McMurray and by highway to Grand Prairie, St. Albert, and Leduc. Only Leduc is still open to new evacuees. For those leaving Yellowknife, centers have been open for those arriving by vehicle in Valley View, Fox Creek, and Red Deer, with flights heading to Calgary, while hospital patients and long-term care residents are being flown to Vancouver as well.
We in Calgary are here to help. This is a time when communities step up to help others, and we stand by those in need in this stressful and no doubt scary time.
Because nobody knows what will be left when the evacuees return.
It is a beautiful day down here at the middle of the four-way.
From Fort Smith, Town Councillor Dana Ferguson posted a video Thursday to show the community was still okay, while a change in the wind Wednesday sent crews scrambling to keep Hay River safe from flames.
And it's almost like run for your life, you know, like may the best man win. And it's scary, you know.
Calgary has committed to take up to 5,000 evacuees with plans to help them find accommodation and provide them with services like mental health support as they wait and worry about what's happening back home. Farah?
Heather Yourex-West at Calgary International Airport. Thank you, Heather. British Columbia has also offered to help the north, but it's facing a firefight of its own. Several fast-growing wildfires have triggered a number of new evacuation orders and alerts. And with lightning and strong winds expected over the next couple of days, provincial officials are now issuing an ominous warning.
This weather event has the potential to be the most challenging 24 to 48 hours of the summer from a fire perspective. We are expecting significant growth, and we are expecting our resources to be challenged from north to south in the province.
Prolonged hot and dry weather has led to extreme fire behavior in the province's southern interior. Around 500 people are under evacuation order, while over 5,000 are on evacuation alert across BC. A local state of emergency is being issued for the city of West Kelowna as the McDougall Creek wildfire burns out of control, threatening about 1,000 properties. Provincial officials are urging everyone to have a plan and say if an evacuation is ordered, you must get out. Meteorologist Kristi Gordon joins us now with a look at what's ahead for BC. Kristi, first, how did this all unfold?
Farah, BC has experienced more than a year of precipitation deficit, basically since spring of 2020. And now we're on the tail end of a 5-day heat wave. Now what we're concerned about is really the worst case scenario for the BC wildfire service. It is a cold front that's going to bring strong erratic winds and the potential for dry lightning. Here's a look. So it's moving from north to south across the province today, impacting the southern regions as we continue through the latter part of the day and the southeastern corner even into tomorrow. So we're talking about gusts ranging from 60 to 70 kilometers an hour. But as we talked about, erratic winds, so coming in all different directions. BC Wildfire Service says they've been working on containment lines, and those containment lines are going to be challenged over the next 24 to 48 hours. Back to you.
Global News meteorologist Kristi Gordon. Thank you, Kristi. Now to the Hawaiian island of Maui, where there is still so much ground to cover. Combing through the ashes of what were once homes, businesses, and cultural sites will take time. At least 111 people are known to have died in the wildfire, and that's with only 38% of Lahaina's burn zone having been searched. About 1,000 people are still missing. More than 2,000 buildings went up in flames, sending toxic fumes across Lahaina and into the sea. Our Neetu Garcha is on Maui. Neetu, while this recovery mission continues, there's fears about the impact of those toxins.
Farah, Maui wildfire victims are facing another challenge, the threat of chemical contamination. Authorities here say fires have tainted the air, water, and soil, a risk to health likely to linger for months. as the island tries to come to grips with grief while looking ahead to recovery. In the air, a mission against multiple wildfires burning on Maui. On the ground, a mission to feed those living in a community that's lost so much.
This is what I have left, what I live in now.
20 people die and no power, no water, terrible. They burn whole tin machine.
Just a word of caution for all these developers that thinking they're gonna come here and invest and buy our land. No way, it's not gonna happen. Stay away.
Their town is filled with anguish and anger, but also hope. Across the island, there are scenes like this.
We empty and fill this room 3 or 4 times a day.
Displaced residents getting food, water, and baby products from this business converted into a distribution center.
Most of the families who come through lost everything. And a family came in yesterday and they were obviously very much in shock. They didn't know where their family was.
Before the road to the community reopened on Wednesday, volunteers were taking donations into the hardest hit areas by air and boat. Cammie Irwin is among them. She says she saw desperation throughout Lahaina.
Just feeling helpless. Like so many people, kids sitting up on the side of the highway with nothing.
Analysts say the deadly fires could have an astronomical economic impact on the island, likely to cause a severe local recession.
Hotels are starting to lay off people, restaurants are laying off. Now it's going to become the worst economic crisis that we've ever seen, including pandemic.
While people have been urged to avoid non-essential travel to the island, some business owners and workers who rely on tourism fear a crippled economy. Their message to those planning to go ahead with their vacations to Maui is to come and help.
When cleanup efforts start, help us clean up.
Bring your resources and kind of just help us get to where we need to be faster.
There are growing concerns about the future of Lahaina's rebuild. Residents we talked to say the future should focus on those who call the community home, especially people with deep generational and ancestral connections to this land. Farah?
Neethu Garcha in Maui. Thank you, Neethu. Body, mind, and sun. Coming up, our Jeff Semple learns firsthand what extreme temperatures mean for your health. Climate experts warn that extreme temperatures will be the new normal across Canada and the world in the years ahead. But exactly what does the extreme heat and humidity do to our bodies? Our Jeff Semple found out firsthand.
This sweltering summer is sparking a burning question. How hot is too hot for the human body? We came here to find out.
Hey, Dr. Chung. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Dr. Stephen Chung runs this environmental lab. For 25 years, he's studied the impact of extreme heat on firefighters, professional athletes, and the average Joe. Or in this case, an average Jeff.
What we're going to do is record your core temperature using this pill.
I begin by swallowing a thermometer pill. Then they wire me up, probes to monitor skin temperature, heart rate, oxygen, and brain blood flow.
You know, when you're out in the sun and out in the heat, it's not just your body physically being challenged, but it's also your brain being mentally challenged.
So next comes a cognition test to measure my memory skills. Then they shut the door to this airtight chamber and crank the heat to 35 degrees Celsius with about 30% humidity. After 45 minutes, my heart rate and temperature have barely changed. I redo the memory test and score even higher.
All right, after an hour inside, feeling a little warm, but not too bad. I had a sweat towel, but didn't even need it.
But I would need that towel before long. A quick cold shower and break for lunch before returning for round 2. And this time, instead of dry heat, they add a dangerous ingredient, humidity.
Heat is bad, but it's also really the humidity that makes things so much more challenging for our body.
All right. The chamber is again set to 35 degrees, but with humidity at around 80%.
You're going to feel just perceptually a lot more uncomfortable, and yeah, it's going to be just a sweat fest, basically.
In dry heat, sweat evaporates into the air, which cools the body down, but not in humid heat.
The sweat that you're producing just cannot evaporate into the environment because the air is already so filled with water vapor.
After about 45 minutes, I'm feeling nauseous and lightheaded.
I'm sorry you have to see this.
My skin temperature is up 7 degrees, while my heart rate has jumped by more than 10 beats per minute, even though I'm barely moving.
Your blood is pumping a lot of blood out to the skin to get rid of the heat. And so the heart has to work a lot harder. That can be a big problem. Again, whether you're just resting or especially when you're exercising.
There's also less blood pumping to my brain. On the memory test, I make twice as many mistakes.
You can't think as straight, so that's also when accidents can happen.
All right. After 1 hour inside the chamber, thanks, Stephen, I'm feeling kind of disgusting, to be honest.
What a difference the humidity can make. As global temperatures rise, studies show humidity levels are climbing even faster as warming seas evaporate into the atmosphere.
Unfortunately, it is becoming much more of a reality for us, even in a relatively cold country like Canada.
So a key take-home message is to keep a close eye not only on the temperature, but also on the humidity when determining whether your body can take the heat. Jeff Semple, Global News in St. Catharines, Ontario.
Ferocious fire ahead. Thousands of people forced to escape a popular tourist destination. Chaos in the Canary Islands tonight. More than 4,000 people on the holiday island of Tenerife have been ordered to flee their homes. Crews are struggling to contain what's been labeled the most complex blaze to hit the Spanish archipelago in 40 years. The flames are ravaging a heavily forested national park with steep ravines fueled by extreme heat and dry conditions, and is expected to get even hotter in the days ahead. More than 60 people are feared dead after a boat carrying migrants was found off the Atlantic archipelago off Cape Verde. The ship left Senegal over a month ago with 101 passengers on board and was only discovered drifting at sea on Monday. 38 people were rescued. 7 bodies were recovered on board. The rest are missing. Many asylum seekers travel by sea from West Africa to the Canary Islands every year and try to reach mainland Spain. It's one of the world's deadliest migration routes. Rescue crews in northern India are still searching for survivors at a temple site that collapsed from weather-induced landslides earlier this week. Officials say more than 70 people were killed, but only 12 bodies have been recovered so far. Around 2,500 people have been displaced in the region due to torrential rain. The severe weather triggered flash floods and mudslides, sweeping away structures, ravaging roads, and disrupting power. Thousands flee next. We speak with the mayor of Yellowknife as her community packs up and gets out. Helping wildfire evacuees cope with worry and anxiety is among the many challenges facing community leaders. Rebecca Alty is Yellowknife's mayor, and she joins us now from her office at City Hall. First, Mayor, how are you doing?
The last call I was on, I started on mute and said good morning, and that was at 3:30. So it's been a long day, but there's been some positive parts of today by all means. I'm starting to hear the airplanes, so it sounds like ECC, the firefighters were able to get up in the air and fight that fire. The fire didn't move as much yesterday. It only moved 1 kilometer instead of 5 kilometers. So you've got to take the wins when you can. It's a tough situation.
Absolutely. It still puts that about 16 kilometers out of the city of Yellowknife, if I'm doing my math correctly. You just talked about the planes. Now, we're learning, Mayor, that on top of the commercial flights, the military is sending more evacuation flights. 5 is what our sources are telling us. Is that enough to get the people out?
Yeah, we're working on we issued the order last night, and it was in part because the highway was still open. So there's only one road in and out of Yellowknife, and unfortunately, that's also where the fire is. And so it can close the highway down depending on how close the fire gets to the highway. the smoke conditions. But right now the highway is open, so folks are able to drive out. And then anybody who can't drive, doesn't have a vehicle, seniors, somebody with medical conditions, there are flights as well. And so flights began, there were commercial flights and folks could purchase tickets. I hear Air Canada and WestJet added more flights, as well as those free evacuation flights, which began at 1 o'clock. Definitely need to get through the registration faster, as you showed there in one of the images. The lineup's long, and until folks are registered, we can't get folks to the airport. So that's one of the bottlenecks we're seeing right now.
Certainly. I mean, we were seeing these lineups at the airport as well. Now, we've heard from people that they want to stay. They want to ride this out. They want to hop in boats. What's your message to those people?
Please don't. Please evacuate. I recognize, a lot of folks are just focusing on the fire and okay, might have a low risk of actually making it to the community and I could be safe. But one of the things that's tough is the smoke conditions. And we are hoping that we can do a controlled burn along with the other defensive measures that we've been taking, which is fire breaks, cutting down the trees, the fire retardant drops. If we're doing a controlled burn near the community, that's going to cause a lot of smoke. Our air quality is terrible to begin with because of the forest fires. So really encouraging folks to please leave as soon as you can. I know it's hard, but it's the thing to do right now.
Right. All right. Mayor, our thoughts are with you. Thanks so much for making the time for us. That is the Mayor of Yellowknife, Rebecca Alty. And that is Global National for this Thursday night. I'm Farah Nasser. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us. We want to leave you tonight with scenes from Yellowknife, water bombers battling the dire wildfire crisis in the Northwest Territories. Our coverage continues tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.